Benji, you told me before we started recording this that you are a hard man and you are not afraid of anything.
Yeah, that's my opening line.
Why are you here? Why are you here?
Well, no, you're quite right. I was reared on the mean streets of Middlesbrough, so as a consequence, I am
How did you survive?
Well, you have to really battle your way through, you know, that's why I'm hard as f***. So...
So my favourite video game jump scare is actually coming from a recent title. It's Hitman 2, nonetheless, and you can find it in the finish line mission, where basically you've got to assassinate some people that are going around a racetrack. But if you decide to go off into a little museum-style thing, and a friend told me that you can actually shoot the strings that are holding up a giant prosthetic shark, and it will drop on someone's head, I was like, I've got to try that. I went there, and with my sniper rifle, I was about to aim on there, and as I noticed, I was like looking at the shark, noticed a little room up on the top right hand of the corner, and for some reason there's somebody had put some graffiti over the words live exercise, and it's saying live exorcism. So I was like, okay. So I started like looking over there with my sniper rifle, just like, what is that? And it's like a red room, like little thing there, and you can't see like into the room itself, but there's a dummy that's strapped to like those Hannibal Lecter wheelie dealies, you know, like I'd love to be travelled around in them, you know, like
Hannibal
Lecter wheelie dealie. Yeah, I'm sure that there's a human pallet truck. I don't know, like it was like somebody like on there. It's a dummy on there, and when you zoom in with the sniper rifle, I was like looking at the dummy because I was like, what's going on? And it's just like that, but all of a sudden it starts going and looking over to the live exorcism sign. And then all of a sudden it looks down the lens of the sniper rifle and then does that, like this dummy, like really slowly. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, that's fine. So like, I was like, I'm done here. So I like looked down, and as I looked up at the thing without the sniper rifle, the room was empty, and I was like, oh God, no. And I'm like, you just see the dummy's hand behind the camera. I was like, oh no, turned around and it was there, like right in front of me. It scared the absolute crap out of me. So much so that I fired off the sniper rifle into it, and all the guards came swarming on Agent 47, who must have looked like a right idiot trying to tackle down like a dummy, like, I'll show you bastard. But yeah, scared the absolute crap out of me, and for that, I feel like it deserves a mention on this.
Predictably, I'm going to do a bit of a cheat because I've got two shout-outs here. Because one is a very quick one because it's a VR game, obviously. It's Resident Evil 7. There is a moment in that where you have to sort of climb some stairs. You're in the part with, I think it's Marguerite is lurking around. And she comes out of nowhere, and she's just there, and she pushes you down them. In that moment, it's not much. It's just literally her coming from behind a sort of wall. But I sort of died the same way. Have you seen Mulholland Drive, where the man sees the dumpster monster, and he feels like he's having a heart attack? Yeah. Rich, show the clip, because it is so scary. And I thought I was done. I took the headset off, I was finished. But the one that really gets my pick is something that I think you'll like, Jules Gill, because it comes from BioShock Infinite. Whoa! And it is the Boy of Silence who sneaks up on you late in the game, because this isn't really a horror title, so you're not expecting something like this to happen, and there aren't many jump scares in the game, if any, until that point. And then you're just going to open a security gate, pull a lever like you've done a million times before, you turn around, and this freaky dude is right there, and he screams in your face, and I fired off the guns as much as I could, and then realised I'd shit. You know, I was like, oh no, what's happened? You know, there's stuff everywhere, human feces all over the place. I felt horrible. My mum comes running upstairs. She's like, Josh, the stench, I'm calling the police. And then I did what anyone would do in that situation. You found a really good jump scare you don't expect, so I reloaded a save, called up my girlfriend at the time, was like, have a go at this, just have a little play. It really scared her. I was like, happy Valentine's Day, enjoy this. There's shit everywhere, there's crap all over the place, the police are on their way. What has BioShock Infinite done?
And then you pin the on her.
Yeah, that's why.
Look, she shot it.
Don't, I should have got it on video. Some of that is true, but it is the best jump scare that's ever happened.
You never had a girlfriend.
I never had a girlfriend, but I did
I've got like, Josh was on about cheating about having two. I have three, is that okay? They're really quick though, they're really quick, I promise. I want to prefix my actual entry by giving a shout out to games which are not scary but scared me when I was younger. The first one is Mario 64, and y'all know what I'm going to say. It's the haunted, it's the haunted piano in the spooky house level in Mario 64. You're just going about collecting red coins, and then you're like, oh, that's a wee piano, and then you jump on the piano, and then the piano jumps on you. Yeah. It's very scary. It scared me as a kid. I used to proper avoid that whole level because of it. The second one goes to Skyrim, because I never played a lot of first-person games when I was growing up, and then I got Skyrim on the 360 in 2011 or something like that. And first person scares me, turns out. Oblivion always used to scare me, but Skyrim got me right at the start, going up the tower and the dragon comes through the wall. I was like, oh, good this. Switched straight to third person as soon as you could. As soon as I think you get your arms untied, I was like, right, R3. But yeah, that scared me as well. My actual entry, boring actual scary game, is Layers of Fear. So, Layers of Fear, what a game. Bloober Team, I like pretty much everything that comes off of them. I enjoyed Blair Witch, which came out recently, lots of good spooks in that. But Layers of Fear 1 especially. Now, this managed to jump scare me without actually throwing any spooks at me, nothing like that. It was, I call it, I don't know if there's a word for it, I call it the cat with a cucumber syndrome. So the cat knows there's nothing behind it. I'm in Layers of Fear, and I know there's no wall behind me. Doing my thing, turn around, there's a wall behind me, there's a cucumber there, jump out of my skin. It's the simplest little thing. They changed the geometry and the layers. They changed the walls around you, and you'll be doing a little puzzle, and suddenly you're in like a 1x1 boxed room, and that kind of stuff just really scares me. That whole game is jump scare after jump scare, but not in a traditional sense, in a sense of like, one of these rooms is not like the others. It really got me, honestly. I know a lot of people give Layers of Fear a lot of stick, but no, I'm a firm believer that it is one of the best jump scare games out there.
I am going to go with PT, and I think the whole tragedy of that game is that we're never going to see any more of it. But I think that Mr. Kojima, don't know why I call him that, Mr. Kojima, and Mr. Guillermo del Toro.
It's because you respect them so much.
I just messed up all their words. Guillermo del Toro, Mr. Kojima. I could start this game, but I'm not going to. They put so much effort and so many little references and everything into PT, and ostensibly that game is literally one L-shaped corridor. But I love it. I love that they, like I said, they put so much into it in a way that it makes you hyper-analyze every single little detail, from the carvings of words on the wall to the picture frame with an X on it and whatever else, and the little fetus in the sink. You know, you don't get enough of them in games. No. So little fetus in the sink.
Get it in Death Stranding, though.
It's true. Oh, he's got a thing for them, hasn't he, Mr. Guillermo del Toro?
He's going to get cancelled.
A little bit. He's already cancelled, isn't he? He lives in a perpetual state of cancelment. But anyway, and in that game, I just think that because you're in that hyper-aware state, when Mary, I think she's called Mary. She's not called Mary. Lisa. Good. I'm doing well. That when Lisa eventually grabs you from behind, lol, then you're not waiting. You're kind of waiting for it, but you're not at the same time. And I think that the way that it wrenches the view around and it just throws it right in your face, standard Grudge style demonic demon face or whatever. I didn't like Mr. JP, but I did myself in a different way, and I thought that was just an incredibly good thing to do. And I think that even more so than that, when people have found out that if you hack the game and detach the camera, she's behind you the whole time, then you never know because you're in first person, which I think makes it even more terrifying that a game, even if you break it, can actually just add to what the game is supposed to be doing. So yeah, the way that they do that jump scare, apparently she's on like a random timer, and she grabs you at a random time. So even when you find out, you still don't know when it's going to come. And even besides that, Lisa is just hanging out behind you the whole time.
Kind of like a version of Pokemon Yellow, but in this case it would be Pokemon Brown. She's just taking on for the ride.
Yeah, this is full on Lavender Town, but without the death. I don't know, to be honest. I'm very tired.
Right, now, I've spoke about one before. First up, sorry for how gross and ill I sound. I am gross and ill. But the first jump scare that really got me and that always comes to mind is the one from Dead Space, where you first go into the ship and there's all the necromorphs on the floor, and one jumps up and you're like, oh my god, it's a corpse. Oh my god, no, it's actually a crazy psycho beast that's gonna get me. That one always absolutely shits me up. Like, it's so good. And I played it with my dad. It was the same time, like, he was playing it and I was watching it, and I was going to have like a go after him, and I've never been able to actually just play it myself because of this jump scare. Like every time we played it, I was like, like trying to wait for them to jump up and everything. But yeah, that was fantastic. But the one I'm going to talk about today, which is also fantastic and absolutely like, it was very much a moment of, I'm done with this game for a while now, turn it off and go and sit down for a bit, was Until Dawn. And it's in chapter 6 when you're playing as Ashley, shout out, you're playing as Ashley with Chris, and you're wandering around the basement of a lodge. Obviously, Until Dawn is a story about a load of teenagers who their two friends die or go missing. At the start of the film, they go missing and die in the woods. At the start of the film / game that it kind of is, because it plays on like movie tropes of a slasher horror supernatural sort of thing that kind of combines those of different things. You're ready for it to live up to tropes, for it to live up to jump scares, for it to offer this, that, and the other. So there's tons of jump scares. You can usually see them coming and like just read them and be like, oh, I'm a bit nervous. Okay, it's passed. But this one, you open the door to carry on with your merry way, and it sets it up as if a jump scare is going to happen. So like the camera goes into like first person, zooms down the corridor a little bit, and like builds up a bit of tension, and nothing jumps out, and you're like, okay, cool, old double bluff, as it pulls back out, and you get control of Ashley again. So you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's going to come later in the game, or it's going to move into something you can see that way. So you just literally, it pulls you into that false sense of security, or it pulled me into the false sense of security, where I was like, oh, it's fine, I'm in control again, doo-dee-doo, and so I started walking like head first, like everything's fine, and then a ghost jumps up and just screeches right into your face, like here, and like pushes it forward and then disappears again. And honestly, oh God, it was harrowing, it was horrible, it's so out of nowhere, proper jumped out of my skin, had to have a breather afterwards and be like, right, I'm gonna come back to this in a bit when I can handle scary things again. It's so well executed. For something where you know how jump scares work, where you can read where they're signposted and everything, for them to actually manage to switch it around and go, oh, okay, I expected one, and then I actually managed to get over the expectation and still be caught by it, I think is just a great move for it. It's no words, because I was scared. I was very scared.
There has been maybe one or two moments that we haven't like really frightened me, but made me go, ooh, like that a little bit. And I think I can describe maybe for many people the definitive video game jump scare in a single words, and it is dogs. All right, so you immediately know dogs.
Come on, Jules.
Yeah, you're thinking like Parappa, for example.
Get out.
Or Duck Hunt. That's quite scary. But no, I am of course referring to anyone?
Resident Evil?
Yeah, Resident Evil.
Oh, I genuinely thought you were going to swerve us again, because that's too obvious.
No, it's Resident Evil. So as everyone knows about the landed gentry, they hate people going on the land. And that's absolutely true of a mansion in the original Resident Evil. So you just, you're working your way around, having a look at the lovely decor, the architecture, the rococo, maybe it's like neo-Gothic style decorating. I think this is lovely.
Pushed it all off.
Yeah, and then you're walking through a hall and suddenly, poof, through a window, he's a dog. It's like, oh, blimey, where's this little fluffy woofy come from? And then you run away from it, and there's another one. It's like, oh, blooming hell. And no, this didn't make me, it didn't make me like Josh or Scott, but it did make me do a little wee.
I didn't.
Oh no, sorry, you didn't. So yeah, that made me, it sent a bit of a shiver down my spine. Another one, maybe a little earlier than that, was in an adventure game not many people played called The Seventh Guest, and I can describe this in another word: saucepans. Right? So when you go into the kitchen, you look in a saucepan, you think, oh, what's cooking here? I'll tell you what's cooking. It's a bloody disembodied head that goes whoo at you. Oh, it's horrifying.
Does it do with as much passion as you've just done it?
Slightly less.
Oh.
Above all those, and I think this actually is the ultimate video game jump scare, in every single Windows 95 game ever.
Right.
Yeah, where you're playing it and even having a nice session playing Day of the Tentacle or Grim Fandango, and then suddenly it crashes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing can possibly match that for sheer peril, sheer terror, bedwetting terror. And those are the only three things that have ever scared me in my entire life.